As a small business owner, do you ever think about the day when you won't be running the show? If you don't plan for what will happen to your business when you're no longer at the helm, you could be putting the company's future in jeopardy. Communicating a coherent and clearly outlined succession plan to your family will lead to a successful transition and, most importantly, peace of mind. Hi, I'm Nelson Davis. Joining us today on the Wells Fargo Business Insight series is Andrew Kite. He's the Executive Director of the Loyola University Chicago Family Business Center. Andrew, welcome.
Thank you, Nelson.
Delighted to have you here. What should the owner of a family business consider when creating a succession plan?
A business owner needs to start with realizing that this is not an event, that this is a process, that succession planning takes place over time. And there are three main things that they need to think about. They need to think about ownership transition and what does my financial future look like. They need to think about management transition and how to prepare a successor that can run the business.
Okay.
And the third piece is the psychological transition that they have to go through. Their identities are often tied up in being that business owner, and they need to think about what does my future look like when I'm not this business owner.
Well, these are all topics that deserve some deep thought. How can a business owner successfully achieve all those things?
You know, that's a great question. It's one business owners ask me all the time. And it comes down to three keys that we've found both through research and experience. The first is they need to start with regularly communicating with their family before there are issues that are coming up.
Okay.
The second piece is that they need to surround themselves with good advisors. The third, they need to do regular strategic planning and think about the future of the business.
Well, in the early stages of a business, the focus is usually on growth and on revenue, and transitioning smoothly might not be a consideration until there's more stability and maturity in the business. So even though a business owner might be very busy, in fact, sometimes overwhelmed in the beginning, is there a way to start planting the seeds for a smooth transfer then?
You know, your question reminds me of a family-owned printing company that I worked with. And when they started the business, they were so concerned about, are the presses running? Do we have enough business coming in to keep the presses running?
Yep.
That they lost sight of the longer term goals. They lost sight of their vision of being a family business for a longer period of time. So what happened was it created a lot of family tension and delayed the exit of the business owner for about 5 years until they could work through these challenging issues.
That's a tough consequence for them to deal with.
Exactly.
Now, what final advice would you give a business owner transitioning a business to another family member?
I think it really starts with being clear about what that mission and vision for the company is, and then creating a viable strategic plan to achieve that mission and vision for the future. And once those keys are in place, you can then work back to what does my successor need to look like? What does the ownership transition plan need to look like in order to achieve that mission and vision? And to realize that there are going to be bumps in the road. This is not an event. This takes place over time, and we're going to have to problem solve as we go along.
Problem solving as you go along. You mentioned children earlier. What advice can you give a business owner about evaluating their children objectively as to who can best run the business?
The business owners that I work with really say that that is one of the most difficult questions for them to answer. Choosing over children, evaluating them. We know through both research and experience that that's probably the hardest job a parent has. So I encourage parents to, first of all, make sure that entering the family business is their child's choice, that that's what they want to do. The second thing is that they should get outside work experience. They should work for somebody else. So going back to that printing company, they should have outside work experience perhaps in another printing company that's a little bit larger so that they can bring some of that knowledge and experience back to the family business. And then the third key is really to involve that advisory group in evaluating the talent. Get feedback from non-family employees about the performance of the children so that you can incorporate that data and make that decision a little bit easier.
Excellent information, Andrew. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you for joining us for this segment of the Business Insight series. Now, to learn more about how Wells Fargo Business Banking can help you, visit wellsfargo.com/BIZ. In the meantime, we wish you continued success.